Hello, and welcome to Success Stories with Key, where you get a chance to see success through the eyes of someone who is achieving success. So, what is success? Success means different things to different people. I'm interested in hearing from these people to understand about their achievements, their challenges, and their keys to success. This week, I have the honor of speaking with Rajesh Tahiliani. Raj, welcome to Success Stories with Key.
Thank you so much, mate. My pleasure.
Now, Raj is a Prince 2 certified SAFE practitioner with over 17 years experience in project management. He's worked internationally in India, the United States of America, and Australia. Raj is a project manager capability lead of a global IT services company. So tell us about yourself. Who is the real Raj?
Good question. So as you know, Rajesh works in this global IT company in the management role. Apart from that, Rajesh is a baker. He's a confectioner, a total foodie, a rover, a traveler. I love driving. I have driven, I think, 16 to 18 hours at a stretch from New York City to Miami. I also love spending time with my family and friends. That's me.
Amazing. That's a big drive.
Yeah, it is. It was fun all the
Yeah.
way with friends during Christmas period.
Wow. I have to ask, what type of car were you driving? That's a long ride.
BMW X3, I would
But,
recall that, one of my favorites.
yeah. Comfortable?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Spacious, comfortable, wonderful one.
Excellent. Alrighty. Let's jump straight into the questions. What are some of your proudest achievements?
Good question again. Um, Many, but I would cut it short and just name a few ones in sequence, if I would say. I topped my high school with 98 percentage and got into university of my choice. So that was the proudest moment for me and for my family. While working with Capgemini, America's Capgemini United States, I was very fortunate to be delivering an extremely successful Salesforce project for the largest insurance giant as a technical lead. Now, it was more than 36 hours of implementation over the stressful weekend. But once it was successful and the go live was success, it had a press release then, almost a decade ago, won several awards for leading that project. So that was certainly one of my proudest achievements. Here at DXC, Touchwood had my string of successful projects as senior manager, but a special one would be the Canberra project.
Fantastic. I've always known you as a project manager or a program director. So you mentioned that you were a team lead or a developer.
So there's a story behind it. And I had faced enough challenges throughout this journey. Right? So as I was mentioning earlier, I had switched a lot of routes. I initially started off in the technology space as developer, went on to become tech lead for the initial 5 years of my career, and I was doing extremely good and I was comfortable in my space. Then I had to switch roles to get into the consultant space. I was working more closely with the business to understand their requirements, translate into user stories, use cases, primary use cases, and do a lot of documentation work. Back then, we didn't have the agile concept much. I mean, it obviously existed, but it wasn't pretty much to the level that we have now. So I used to write primary use cases and detailed use cases. I had to unlearn and then learn the newer ways of doing because I switched from the technical side to be playing the role of the consultant side. So I had changed my ways of working for my day-to-day work. And then again, of course, after a couple of years, I wanted to be taking the charge of the entire project as a project manager because of my certain interest in the financials. So I had to learn the things again in a newer way. My problem was that my number of years in the IT industry was increasing, but my experience in the newer roles were not matching to my number of years. But eventually, with the real life experience of handling of all sort of projects, be it fixed price, T&M, agile, fixed capacity, waterfall methodology, it just taught me to be managing the projects in a very efficient way. And here I am. So yeah, that was my journey from getting into the development space to the technology space to being consultant and then project manager and project director.
I assume when you first started as a developer, you weren't sure what path you were going to take.
Yeah.
So how did this come about? You were a developer and then a consultant and then a project manager. How did this happen?
Yeah. So it wasn't planned move as such. What happened is when I was more of the offshore based role and I just started into the IT industry, I was just being deployed into the project and was being made to do the implementation, was being made to write the code and develop the user stories, right? I mean, develop the user requirements then, of course. So I started off with the developer space, but then when I was deployed to the on-site role as the on-site opportunity, I had an opportunity to work with business more closely and understand the requirements in more detail, because I suddenly developed this interest of knowing what I am building. Because back then I was just a developer, but when you work in an environment with the customer at the customer location for an account, wherein certain project becomes just more critical for the entire account, you got to be working with the customer more often. So I had this opportunity to be working more closely with the business, and more so, even the BA in my team had resigned. There was not any business analysts, and in United States, it's always related to the visa constraints. So I was being deployed as a resource to work with business and understand their requirements and write down all the user stories. Not just it came as a personal interest, but it was also a move by my organization to be stepping into that role. And ever since I started working with the business, I just got consumed into that role, and I became a consultant all of a sudden, and I started writing the user stories, and I started making sure that the rest of the team who were onboarded also understood what the requirements were. And slowly that made me move into the consultant role, wherein I was just overseeing the entire implementation of the work. And yeah, that's how I once into the consultant role. It was hard for me to then go back to the development role.
That's a really interesting set of achievements. Okay, so let's talk about some of the challenges that you've faced along the journey to success. Are you able to share some of your experiences?
Yeah, there were challenges, right? Because while I was stepping up as a consultant, I was not sure of how I would run the project end to end. There was no project manager, and I also wanted to oversee into the development space because of the background that I was into. I knew the development, but because of the responsibility, I was not doing the development. So I wanted to wear multiple hats. And the project offered me an opportunity to be stepping into a project management role, to oversee the work for consultant, also to oversee the work for developer, also to oversee the work for testing, also before we hand over to the customer. So when I stood up as a project manager, I was interested to oversee the implementation. Plus, I was also interested to understand how much of these resources are actually costing, how is its financials being driven. And I had no training at all. Like, I just did my on-job training. I learned it while performing onto the project. So I had never, back then, I had never undergone any training. I had never worked closely with the project manager. I was never associate manager. So there were enough challenges for me to run the stand-up meetings, to take up the complete ownership. It was more of understanding that now the entire project is my responsibility. So I had to learn it while being on the program, while being on the project. Thankfully, I had a good mentor who was able to share his learnings, his guidance with me, who was a program director then. So yeah, the experiences shared by a mentor has certainly helped me shape up as a project manager, experienced project manager over the number of years.
Amazing. So what advice would you give to people faced with similar challenges?
I think be open to take any sort of feedback or criticism, because any constructive criticism that would come from your mentors, from your seniors, would provide valuable insights into your areas wherein you're looking forward to improve, and identify the factors that would have led to the fall, right? I mean, failure would be a very negative term, but any of the factors wherein you would need to improve, definitely you should take it up as an opportunity to improve. And just as I've said, having a mentor who believes in your potential and would be there to provide you encouragement to boost your confidence, you should certainly seek their guidance and opinions all the time. So I think that would be the advice.
Alrighty, let's move on to success. How do you define success?
Yeah, it's very subjective, I would say, and pretty much a personal concept. It would differ from Raj to Key. It would differ from Key to someone else in our organization, right? It just differs from everyone. It's definitely, I would say, not a series of goals or check marks, as everyone would say, tick this off, tick this off, tick this off. I have to achieve success. I would say it's not that. It's more of accomplishing specific objectives that you have defined for yourself, or specific milestones that you have defined for yourselves. And I think that itself is a form of success. And once you achieve that milestone, then being getting acknowledged or being respected by your colleagues and bosses for one's accomplishment could be seen as a form of success. So this leads to, I would say, feeling of content and fulfillment. And once you get that feeling of content and fulfillment, I think that itself is a success. You don't necessarily have to achieve everything in the life and they only then say that I'm successful.
So what are some of the things that you've done that have made you successful?
Right. I mean, discipline, intelligence, I don't think that's all necessarily true. I've seen people with great discipline who still struggle in life, and with less discipline who would have made big, right? So I'm not going to stick with discipline and intelligence. There is no formula for sure. But I think there's some element of talent which is required for you to be successful. Without talent and without hard work, success won't come to you. So I think if we have talent and if we give our 100%, there is consistent effort and we have a strong work ethic, staying committed to our self-improvement, are the basic things that I have followed, which has helped me to reach to the level that I am. If I would add one more thing, having a positive mindset, right? So I think a growth mindset, a positive mindset, can significantly impact your success, because if you have a positive attitude and willingness to do something, then that's it. No one can stop you.
So let me play back to you my interpretation of your keys to success. Number one is to have a good mentor, to have someone who's been there before and happy to lead the way, to coach you to get the most out of things. Number two is to be open to constructive feedback. And once you have that, be open to areas of improvement. Number three is hard work and a strong work ethic to follow through and deliver. And number four is to have a positive mindset. Have I captured this right?
You got it, man.
Fantastic. Thank you. These are really good keys to success. Now, my wrap-up question, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Actually, a lot, but I'll cut it down. I'll say go ahead and take risks. Taking risk in life. So step out of your comfort zone. Take whatever strategic risk you want to do to achieve your goals, to advance to your goals, right? Travel to the new city, explore things by yourself. Take up the job opportunity that comes your way, which you believe would help you achieve your goals. So taking the risk would be the one. I have taken a lot of risks. I have settled across many different countries until I could find my personal space. So I would say the other one could be financial literacy. We all work, right? We will earn salary. We are all educated. We'll ultimately settle in life, right? But having the financial literacy is more important, right? Whether you work in an organization or whether you have your own business, but making wise financial decisions will contribute to your long-term success. Doing the right investments, right, at the right age is extremely important. So I would say financial literacy would be the second advice if I have liberty to share with my younger ones, and I'll do that. And the last but not the least would be self-care. Right? Again, it sounds preachy, but one should take care of your physical and mental well-being. Make time for yourself. No matter wherever you are, whatever work you do, whichever organization you are, you have to stay healthy and fit, both mentally as well as physically.
Amazing. Really, really good advice. I think a lot of people listening will get a lot of benefit from this. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, mate. No problem.
Thank you so much for your time to share your stories with us.
Thank you so much, Key. I appreciate this. Thank you. You have a good evening.
If you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Follow Key to Success so you can benefit from my learnings as I undertake my own journey to success.